So today I find myself in Dutch Flat, California. I'm in the Dutch Flat Cemetery, which is one of my favorite cemeteries I've been to. And I was very excited to be able to come and share this place with you. First time I came here, I was on a road trip with my mom, and I said, hey, let's randomly check out Dutch Flat. I'd driven past the exit for Dutch Flat so many times, and I was like, let's go see what it is. Why not? And so we did. And as I usually do, I try and check out the local cemetery. And the cemetery is a little bit away from the town on a hill. As you can see, it goes pretty up there. It's on a slope. And when we got here, it just happened to be the day of the community cemetery cleanup. So there was dozens of people here cleaning this place up, making it look real nice. As you can tell, we're under pine trees. There's pine needles everywhere. There's little branches everywhere. The growth was crazy, and everybody was here with tools and garbage bags, and they were just cleaning everything up. And while we were wandering around, we started talking with the locals and found out a little bit more about the cemetery, and it was a lot of fun. And I've been back here several times because I love walking around out here. It's very peaceful. You see animals wandering around out here, deer, lizards, squirrels, chipmunks, all that kind of stuff. So I want to show you a couple things that caught my eye on this trip, and then show you the rest of the place. So I've shown you on episodes before stones, memorial markers that are made out of metal. Now those are going to stand up to the elements. Most markers around this area are made up of marble, stone of some sort. There are a few wooden ones in this particular cemetery, but they are few and far between and really difficult to read. More than likely, there were a lot more wooden markers here, but they have succumbed to the pressures of winter in the Sierra Nevadas, and they are gone forever. Now, this metal marker I want to show you kind of proves that there isn't anything that is going to last forever. As you can see, this one is pretty broken. Now, I've seen this a lot in my travels, and that is more than likely this stone or this monument was struck by a falling branch or tree. There are some trees that have been cut down, stumps here and there. But here's the other half, the bottom part, and as you can see, there is a big dent right there. It broke it right there. So something came down and hit it there. That was the point of impact, pushing it forward. And as you can see on here, it's bent at an angle. It's going that way. So more than likely, a big tree branch came down, striking the top of the stone, bending it down, and eventually it broke from the pressure. I always find plots like this very interesting because, as you can see, it's got a border wall to keep this area level. This is where the person was buried. And there's a giant tree sticking out of it. Now, more than likely, when this person was buried, when this plot was designed to hold somebody's loved one, that was either not there or it was very small. But over time, it has grown into a gigantic beast of a tree, keeping this person, Katie, company. So as you can see, a lot of this cemetery, since it's on an angle, has plots that have been built out for each area where the burials will take place. Some of them are in really good condition and some of them are not. As you can see, this one is a little rough. Some of the blocks have broken, they've been pushed out. The one over there, though, looks a little bit better. There are a few that are falling apart. Let me show you one. This is the burial plot for the family with the last name of Hobbs. It is written on the stone step. There are no markers or stones, so I am actually not sure if there's anybody actually buried there. Sometimes families will purchase plots ahead of time, build them up, get them ready, and then maybe they move. So I'm not sure, but it could have been that they had wooden markers and now those have gone. But as you can see, it is a little worse for wear. This is bowed out, it's pushed away. The top platform right here, the top of the wall has broken and shifted. It's only a matter of time before this crumbles down. Now, this is a very well kept cemetery. As I said, the community comes together at least once a year. They clean everything up, but they aren't able to repair stones. That is, as I've said before, the family's responsibility in most cases. There are stones that are lying on the ground. Let me show you one. And unless somebody who is able to properly fix a stone, this will most likely just stay the way it is. When these stones fall over, when they sit in the ground for that long, that is when the inscription gets rubbed away. That is when the identity of that person is lost if there's not really complete records for this cemetery. It is sad to see, but you have to be properly trained and capable of repairing stones because you don't want to destroy them even further. You don't want to do something that is a shoddy workmanship so that 3 months later the thing falls again, that fall causing more breakage. It's just best to leave it alone unless you are a trained professional. Dutch Flat was a mining town. I think it still is. I think there is still mining going on right outside of town. So, obviously, in all the mining towns we've ever been in, that means life was very difficult. Especially, we are in the Sierra Nevada mountains. We are away from everything else. It's actually really nice to go through the little town because it's kind of my kind of town. It's very small. It's quaint. People wave at you when you drive by. I drove past a small church that was doing all-you-can-eat breakfast today for $5. Pancakes and eggs and bacon, all that kind of stuff. I was tempted to stop because I'm pretty hungry. But That being said, life was very difficult for the people here, for the people who created the town, who worked the mining. I think here the mining was more hydraulic, so they were blasting away the ground with high pressure water, not necessarily digging into the ground. So, but it was still difficult work. On top of that, you have to remember this time period in which I'm walking amongst the people who were buried here was rife with sickness. You know, we see a lot of children's graves, as always. More than likely, those children died of some sort of sickness, tuberculosis, stuff like that. So it was a rough life. But, you know, it's really nice to see this place cared for by the people who still live here. They have not forgotten the people that came before, and they respect them. The marker of Louis Pease is one of my favorite in the entire cemetery. It is wooden, a wooden cross, and from what I was told, it is made from wagon parts, and it is held together with rope. It looks awesome, and despite it being wood, has survived the ravages of time. So since it's a very old cemetery, and I've explained that wooden markers go away after a little bit of time, especially up here, we get major winters up here. It is very, very possible that there are so many graves here that are unmarked. Right here are mounds all the way down here, much like the ones that have the border walls. These ones have been kind of flattened out, leveled in order to probably make something like this. Or those people that could be buried in those locations didn't have the money for the stonework to make a wall around their particular plot. So it's very possible that there's people interred here. It's very possible they had wooden markers that went away, thus leaving, you know, pretty good sections that seem blank but may not be. I say may not be because I have noticed in wandering around there are depressions in the ground that generally mean that whatever was buried there eventually succumbed to the pressures of the earth and to water damage and sank in. It broke, and that causes the dirt to sink in the rough shape and size of a burial plot. So I don't know how many people are buried here. I don't know how many people have been lost to time. But that is why you must always be respectful when walking around. Don't just assume that just because there's not a tombstone that there isn't someone buried there. So just be mindful when you're walking around. I've talked about this in the past with markers like this. This one is another metal marker. And basically you would buy the metal marker and then personalize it. You'd personalize it with the base that the metal marker would sit on, as well as a faceplate here. And this faceplate would have the identity, the information, birth, death dates of the person who was buried here. Now we know it's someone with the last name of Beach, but what we don't know is who exactly is buried here because the faceplate is missing. As you can see, the screws would go in right here, holding the faceplate on, and it is gone. Now over here on the other side, you can see one of the bolts is still here. It's got a covering over it, an ornamental covering, obviously missing on this one. And, you know, it's empty. It's a solid molded piece, but it's hollow inside. But because the faceplate is missing on both sides, we don't know whose grave this is. Now, in most cemeteries, you will have records of who is buried there. They will know the plot number. They will know who purchased the plot. They will know who was buried in that plot. But sometimes, especially in cemeteries as old as this one, those records can be lost or are just incorrect. And so that's why it's important to keep the stones in as good a condition as they are, because these are the lasting markers for the people that are here. And unfortunately, the older they get, the more even that history fades away. Now, before I leave, I want to show you one more. There's a couple of examples of this type of marker in the cemetery, and I've showed you in the B-roll. But I found this very heartwarming and sad at the same time. Another metal marker right here for a child, David, gives us his information on one side, but on the other side, they also include information. A quick paragraph kind of describing who David was to them and how much they'll miss him. I found that really nice, heartwarming, sad, all of those things, because when you give us more information on the marker that's not just a name, a date, that's all well and good, but when there's that personal touch, when there's that reminder that that person was a person, it wasn't just a date, it's not just a stone on the ground, it was a person who lived a life, no matter how long or short it was. That's always comforting to me, and it really kind of brings everything I do on this channel and in my travels through cemeteries into focus. Why do I do it? Because I don't want these people forgotten. And if the stones are going to fade away, hopefully these videos will last a little bit longer. But that's it. That's all I have here on Cemetery Road for this episode out of the Dutch Flat Cemetery. Remember, when you are out walking amongst the stones, be safe, be respectful. I'll see you on the next one.